Thank you for joining us. My name is Joy Robinson. I'm one of the Adult Services Librarians at Piscataway Public Library. And we are so pleased that you can join us for tonight's presentation, Piscataway Stories, Our Community. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our outreach coordinator, Dashika Copeland, who is an integral part of this project. Dashika?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dashika Copeland, and I am the outreach coordinator for the library. And I will be making announcements. So without further ado, tonight's program is part of Piscataway's Public Library special project. It's Piscataway Stories, in which I was actually honored. I am honored to be a part of the stories. The stories is about our community, which is a very enriched community. And it was made possible by a grant from the New Jersey Council for the Humanities. It's a state partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the New Jersey Councils for the Humanities. The Piscataway Stories exhibit is on view at the Kennedy Library through the end of April during regular library hours. And when you visit, please feel free to pick up, well, you can't actually see it because of the background, but pick up a copy of the book and actually browse through it. When I actually picked it up, I was actually in awe, and I was like overwhelmed how great the book turned out, that I immediately shared it with my family and my friends. And I went and said, look at my picture, look at my page. And I don't like pictures at times, but when I saw that picture and I saw all the other beautiful pictures and the writing, it actually took me back. Like, I was really happy. And I was going to text you, Joy, but I didn't want you to know that, how happy I was. So let me tell you now. And so I told my sister she has to come with me to the library to actually see it set up at Kennedy. So we're going to make time to do that. And with that being said, it's definitely available on the website as well, but please do not hesitate to pick up a book. It's an awesome book. The quality, the pictures, everything inside, outside, front, and back. So take it away, Joy.
Thank you, Dashika. I agree with you. I think it's fabulous. And we owe a debt of gratitude to several people, including the other exhibit participants, some of whom are with us tonight, including Monica Yee and Doug Johnston and Ria Tednikar. So many people, took their time and and shared, these special items, these special objects that are significant to them and to their culture and to their community, and therefore significant to our community. So we want to acknowledge them. We also want to acknowledge Maisie Card, who's the American Book Award winning author of These Ghosts Are Family. She is the Piscataway Stories project scholar. And she also, you may recall, led the writing workshops that enabled some of us to write these essays that turned out so beautifully in the book. And that series of workshops, we had such positive feedback. So we're very grateful to Maisie for joining us in that role and for helping us sculpt the book and the exhibit. Additionally, we want to acknowledge Linda Lobdell, who was the graphic designer for the displays, including what we see in the booklet. So thank you to her. And again, thank you to all of the participants. I'm going to go ahead and start introducing tonight's panelists, to whom we are exceptionally grateful, because not only did they take the time to share their stories, they are, taking the time to have this discussion about community and what it means. First, we have Charlene Almace, Charlene's first ties to Piscataway community came through attending the School of Engineering at Bush campus at Rutgers University. She is a principal engineer at a private consulting firm and enjoys reading, gardening, and working on her writing. She lives in Piscataway with her husband, 2 children, and their dog, Elmo. I can't wait to meet this dog. Next, we have Moji Dadras. Moji's country of origin is Iran. He moved to Piscataway 6 years ago, and his background is in engineering and business, and he has worked as a teacher and a market researcher. Moji is married and is about to start graduate school. Welcome, Moji. Thank you. Next, we have Sioni Diaz. Sioni is pursuing a master's degree in education at Rutgers University and hopes to become an English teacher. She immigrated to the United States from Sri Lanka and with her parents in 2003 and has lived in Piscataway ever since. We're grateful to have you. Thank you. We also have Marie Clemen. Marie Clemen, although now retired, was an active employee throughout the many name changes of UMDNJ's Behavioral Healthcare Center, now Rutgers Health, and the Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, located in Piscataway and New Brunswick. She is the quintessential Jersey girl. And later this year, she and husband Bill will be celebrating a milestone anniversary. What milestone anniversary is that, Marie? Well, I'm sorry, you had to unmute. We couldn't hear you. Still muted.
It's a big one, 50.
Okay, you know what? Okay, I see. It's a milestone. Okay, I understand. Yeah, you got married at 2. You got married at 2.
Yes,
I understand. Yes. Okay. As an active volunteers in Piscataway, Marie and Bill strive to be the rainbow in every cloud. What a great sentiment. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, and we are truly, truly blessed to have with us tonight's facilitator, Elizabeth Williams Riley. Elizabeth is the president and CEO of DASH Consulting, LLC. Ms. Williams Riley is an award-winning diversity, equity, and inclusion practitioner and coach with more than 2 decades of training and facilitation experience with companies and organizations globally from the public and private sectors. Ms. Williams Riley has appeared in national publications and has been a featured guest on local radio and television programs. Elizabeth is a connector, helping individuals navigate the complexities of living in an increasingly diverse society, courageously tackling unconscious and implicit bias and its impact on our interactions and relationships. Her consulting firm specializes in inclusive leadership development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, organizational analysis, board development, executive coaching, professional development, allyship, and program design. That is a whole lot of things.
Believe it or not, they're all connected. They're all interconnected.
Yes, yes. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Elizabeth?
Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be with you and to be a part of this project. I have had the pleasure of working with the wonderful team at Piscataway Library and learning from them and supporting their ambition and desire to showcase and highlight the beauty of diversity and community. So it is an honor to be here, and I am delighted to be with family, because community includes families. And I'm excited to be with each of you this evening and to share and highlight some of the wonderful things about your connections to community and what it means to be a part of and have a greater sense of belonging, particularly to the Piscataway community. And we want the audience to also have an opportunity to participate as well. So as we are engaging in our conversation, and it is very informal, but we want you to also think about your own experiences with community and use the chat space to answer this specific question. When was the first time you felt that you were a part of or connected to the Piscataway community? When was the first time you felt that you are a part of and really connected to the Piscataway community? Share that in the chat space as we go along and as you hear stories and things emerge to you. One of the things we know about stories and storytelling is that for many cultures, it is the essence of how they preserve heritage, how they live in their communities and engage with one another, and how they even build for the future. So storytelling is essential to many cultures. So join us as you open your minds, open your hearts, and listen to the backstories behind the stories that have been shared. And I do want to encourage you, don't forget to go to the library and take a look and pick up the book. So let's get started with our panelists. The first question that I'd like to ask is around the meaningfulness of community. So when you began to think about and showcase your connection to community and the items that meant a lot to you and help you understand and develop your own sense of community, can you tell us what makes your object meaningful to you and to the Piscataway community? And I'll ask anyone to just jump in and just think about what makes this really meaningful to you. And don't forget to go ahead and open your mics. This is virtual world. If we were in the room together in person, nobody would have to mute or unmute, right? So do open up your mics for the entire time that we are on our panel so that you can just jump in right away. Marie, go ahead. Lead us, kick us off.
I knew you were going to call on me first. With community, well, for me, being involved in the community, for us, it's all about volunteerism. There's a lot of volunteering that you can do throughout Piscataway. And it meant reaching out to a lot of people, helping a lot of people, being able to do it in a way that is very rewarding. Hence, my object was something related to the Piscataway Elks. My story isn't about me. It's about more or less my journey through the Elks and volunteering, and the people that we're trying to reach and reach out to within the community to let them know that we're here and that we're all here to help.
So this idea of volunteering really connects you to community because you reached out, and it was that stepping outside of yourself to kind of be of service and helping others. Do you have any most memorable moment in doing that?
Oh, there's so many of them because we reach so many different, groups. There's, special needs children. It's very rewarding to help veterans, my husband being a veteran. We work very closely with the veteran homes. We work with fish, with food. As a matter of fact, I was there today dropping things off. It's just, there's so many things out there that we're not aware of, and that people aren't aware of us, that we can help them. So reaching out to people is kind of a focus that I'm trying to, I guess, get reached tonight or anything.
So encouraging people to get involved and to volunteer, because there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of reward in that when you can actually help others and fill a gap. Volunteering for many of us is helping to fill the gap in the lives of others, and supporting and encouraging them. That's wonderful. Anyone else have something that just strikes him as making this project meaningful, and what was that?
I think that
Go ahead.
I think that what made this meaningful was the connection that it brought with us and to the other panelists, and the connection to the entire community. So my object was a piano book, and it started off with an essay that we had worked on with Macy Card, as Joy mentioned. And then it led me to, yes, I want to contribute to this because I want to connect, and hopefully other people in the community want to connect. And it was because that piano book reminded me so much of my childhood, and the diversity here in Piscataway has brought many parents from first generation immigrants like myself. And I find that the common connection are ways that we were raised, in our values and our principles and our sometimes harsh discipline. So that really connected me to the parents and community around here. And not only that specific community, it just really connects you to all the parents, because that's what it is. We're all in this. We're all parents. There's something that triggers us one way or another. And in this community with children, you can really connect to them in that way.
They say music is the universal language too, right? And so this idea of music being transitional and transformative across many different cultures, and this idea of coming from distant lands or being a part of this native land, but being on common ground. Community places us on common ground.
Yes, and everyone can connect through music. No one, you don't have to speak the same language. You just listen to the music and everyone kind of feels the same things from them.
Absolutely. Moji, you were going to jump in. Go right ahead.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me in your gathering. I would like to answer to the question you posed at the beginning. And I want to say the first time, because I didn't grow up here in the United States, in this community, and I moved here 6 years ago. So the first time I felt that connectivity and that connection with this community, with my community, was when I moved to the library, to the public library of Piscataway, to County Library for the first time. And when I entered the library, I saw the big sign of welcoming in so many different languages, in Arabic, in Hispanic, I didn't expect that. Honestly, I didn't expect. I usually I thought that I can see that sort of that big sign in a public library in New York City. But that I didn't expect that. And then all of a sudden, when I was walking through the shelves, I saw so many books in different languages, in Chinese, in Hindu, in Arabic, in Pakistani, actually in Urdu. I think the Pakistani language is Urdu. So I thought at that moment, I'm here in the crossroad of different cultures, and at that time I didn't expect it. So that was the first time I felt connection with the society. And I want to say the object I guess that is so. I mean, the clue with the connectivity and the inclusion is the same. So that's a calligraphy in Arabic language, which might be weird here, I mean, to find, but the guy, I mean, the person who wrote that calligraphy, that was, that attached me to the whole society, and I saw how rich is this society as far as the the diversity, the different culture is concerned.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because so often the visuals, it's more than just words, right? Sometimes what we see in the environment and what's around us also gives us that greater sense of community. So no one had to say a word, but just to look up and see the value of difference on a common ground can be just as important. So community is not just about the words that we see or the books that we read. It's about the atmosphere that gets created around us. So that's wonderful. Sioni, did you want to jump in on that?
Speaking of atmosphere, when this project came to me, we were like trying to figure out, what object can I bring? And like, there's so many objects that invoke like Sri Lanka, and we wanted to show an object that had that cultural connection. But then more than just a cultural object, I wanted to have an object that had a sense of community in it. So this lamp I feel like it invokes the culture, but it's also part of like the ceremony of lighting it is part of being welcoming and part of building that atmosphere of community and like engaging and inviting people in. So I think that's why the object was important to me in connection to this project.
Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that, because that what we do to welcome people in to community, right? That ritual, the way that we welcome people in it can be life-changing and transformative, particularly when people are new to a community. And when I saw that lamp, I thought about the eternal flame and just walking into a home and having it lit and feeling so wonderful and welcome into the space. So thank you for that as well. In all of your stories, there's a connection here. This idea of how we belong to, how we share our lives, our lived and learned experiences, and how it can help others. So that idea of continuing to have that ripple effect in terms of care and love and interest and learning and that desire to have a connection to one another. So when we think about that, what is the message that you want to give to others about this community and your presence in this community? If you could think of the message that could help others after participating in this project, after really having a chance to see the others and what they presented, what is it that you want to put forward as a message of inspiration and encouragement to the community?
I would say that message, going along with what you're saying, that community is about how we welcome people, as Sioni was describing in her object. And what you talked about, community is not just, the books that we read, it's the atmosphere and it's the feeling. And what can we do to invite people or make them feel welcome? So I would say that message is to be kind. It's such a simple thing to do. It's 2 words, and it can make all the difference into, someone who's coming into the library for the first time ever and maybe new to this country, or maybe, I love the library. I've been using it since I was a kid, but maybe for, the family who are introducing their children to the library, but they themselves have never been to the library, just to welcome them in and be kind and, hi, how are you? Can I help you? Just helping them navigate new territory wherever it is within our community. It's such a simple thing to do, to be kind, just to say hi, and it can make all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Intentional kindness, deliberate kindness, the kind that really touches hearts. And kindness goes a long way. Sometimes you never know where it starts or where it will ever end, because people pay it forward.
Yes. You can have the worst day ever, and then someone will just say hi or thank you, or just even hold the door open, and it just brightens your day, and then it takes you out of that.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to kind of chime in on that particular question around what is that message that you can share about this particular community and about who you are in the community that you want to share with others?
Message that I would share would be, don't be afraid to reach out. I feel like when you're new to an environment, it can be very intimidating to like find new people. And it might be even like confusing, like you don't know where your resources are, you don't know where you can go, what you can do. And I feel like we think of resources as like things that are online or like programs that like will help us like figure out where we're going with our lives. But like people can be your resource too, and community is a resource. So I feel like reaching out to people and really finding ways to like help others, as Charlene said, and like be kind and like support each other in ways that are like meaningful.
That's absolutely encouraging. I hear you saying to folks, be courageous in this. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let the fear factor get in the way. Like there's something far more important than your fear when you build community and you experience it and you get wrapped up into the feeling of community. That's wonderful. That's a powerful message, to be courageous and not let fear get in the way. Any others?
Yes, that's true. What you said, Charlene, about smiling. Sometimes you can have a bad day, but just a smile can go a long way. Like I'm considered the Piscataway town walker because I walk from one end of Piscataway to the other end. I even walk from Piscataway to Bound Brook. I just walk. So when I'm walking, I speak to the crossing guards. And some days, like Mr. Bill, he's the best guy. Most of the parents and the students, they say he was a little rough, but when him and I started talking, we became the best of friends. And we built a relationship where if I see him on the corner, he's happy. He's bringing me like Dunkin' Donuts coupons. Then Mr. Lester see me walking because I walk 2 to 3 miles in the morning to go get the coffee instead of driving. And then I even see Miss Barbara on the other end. I just met her recently, but because I wear so many bright sneakers, she noticed my sneakers. So what I did is I paid it forward and I surprised her for Christmas and bought her the sneakers. I guessed her size and bought her the sneakers, and she was so happy. She said, "You didn't have to do that," but I told her, "This is how you do it. You pay it forward." And when everyone know you from town, from walking from the high school to everywhere, and they said, "We saw you from one side to the other," that means you've made an impact to where even individuals or my coworkers, they will text me or Skype me or team me and ask, "When am I going walking today?" Like one just asked me, text me today, but I was finishing my 4-mile walk and I told her we'll walk tomorrow. So what I love about Piscataway, my son has been here since he was 5, and he's been to the library from 5 on. So we go to the library, or either that's like his second home. I just love to walk and just enjoy. And I talk to any and everybody. I talk to the animals. I talk to the people, and it's like they're actually my family. So my object was the jump rope. And I tell people that the easiest and the healthiest and the quickest way is just walk. That's the easiest exercise. I love morning walks because the birds are chirping. You have the woodpeckers. You just have peace and quiet. And it's a relaxation. Like it can ease so many burdens you may have. Just walk. And sometimes you meet a lot of people along the way just by walking and talking. And you do build everlasting friendships and relationships with them. So I look forward to when I walk in the morning to see the crossing guards. If I don't see Mr. Bill there, I'm like, "Where's Mr. Bill?" And I know he's on the other side, but if I don't see him, I got to see Mr. Lester or I see Miss Barbara. And it's such a joy just to walk and talk to the guards.
One of the things about the story you just shared is I talk about in my own consulting firm, developing assets for successful habits.
Yes.
And so what you have done is you've taken a passion and something you love and the experience of it, and it has caught fire.
Yes.
Just doing what you do and what you love can be appealing to others and
Yes.
can be something that attracts others to you. But at the same time, it also reflects that the love and concern and care and the ability just to make connections. So
Yes.
anywhere in any community, a lot of you, what you shared and the panelists that are here and those who told their stories, it was about things that they had, their own assets, the
Yes.
things that made them who they are, and it represented what they stand for in life in so
Yes.
many ways. So
Yes.
it's wonderful to really be able to think about, what is it that I have that is worth sharing, that I can just do it with ease. And
Yes.
kindness definitely is one of those. It takes a little bit more to be courageous,
Yes.
but being able to overcome fear
Yes.
is something that all people in any community can absolutely benefit from.
Yes.
Are there any others that wanted to chime in on that piece around a message to pay forward? So the final question that I have, and I think this one is one that I would like everyone to kind of chime in on, because I think that when we talk about community and what it is people actually have to do, sometimes people don't know what those steps are. What are the practical steps in doing that? So I'm going to ask the question of, how did or does the community help you feel welcome and connected? So what are the things that actually happen for you that make you feel connected or welcome? And then kind of tell us how it works. Like, give us how it really works for you.
For me, I think the library, this entire program from the start to what it evolved to for me, was how they made community. And so the steps were the library thinking, hey, let's think of something that we can do to connect, or we have this grant, how can we serve our community? What can we offer them that maybe people would be interested? And so for me, that was the writing essay with Macy Card, you know, trying to use my right brain because I use the left side of my brain all day long. And that it became sort of like a passion of mine. So it fueled that interest. And then from there, it, you know, they offered other things. Do you want to bring in an object? Do you want to participate? So when someone offers to create a community and services and these great programs for you, it makes you excited to be part of it. And the library, this group here, all the Zoom calls that I've attended, it was such a great experience. And it was calling into the Zoom calls, sharing our stories, talking to everybody. So all of those things added up to this community we have here, and the guests on the call, and connecting us with you. So everything was just really a great, wonderful experience.
Yeah, I hear you talking about this idea of, you know, creating space for people to show up as their authentic self, holding space for people to enjoy what they want to do in life, to explore, to stay connected, to just be themselves, right? That authentic presence and way of being that the library, who would imagine, right? Because most of your time in the library is spent quietly, right?
Yes.
But in this case, it was an opportunity to tell stories, to see things differently, to showcase and to galvanize a generation of people and cross generations in this project. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because I was also a part of it from the beginning as well, and really sitting down with the team and saying, you know, if we get it right, what does it look like? What needs to happen for those involved? How do you get more insight to who the community really is? So thank you for sharing that and your journey along with the process. That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Pleasure.
So Elizabeth, may I share something about this question? Because, you know, as I mentioned before, I moved to this community recently in comparison to other participants. I don't know how many people like me, I mean, moved recently to the community of Piscataway, but I think for me that was so crucial to have to get reach to some facilities that makes me how to say, integrate or assimilate with the whole society. I mean, because, you know, when you move to the United States and you don't have, I mean, you didn't have that, how to say, the culture was different, the language was different in your country of origin. So that was really crucial for me, and I was so lucky to receive that. I mean, to have that sort of, I mean, something like ESL classes, some fairs, or some events that I had the chance to represent myself, my culture, my background. And that was not just from the public library, I mean the Kennedy Library, the whole society, even the Rutgers University, I mean the university that made this chance for us to come here, I mean, with my wife and live here. So all in all, I want to say the whole community helped me in different ways, intentionally and unintentionally. So even people, I mean, their friendly gestures when I moved to bank to, you know, to open an account, that was really helpful for me to assimilate to the society as soon as possible. So that was my personal experience. I don't know about other international people. I assume that would be the same experience, but mine was really so close to perfect.
Moji, thank you. And you may share all of those things anytime you like with me. I enjoy hearing your stories. One of the things that keeps coming to my mind from the very first story you shared about when you felt connected was like the words that came to my mind were beautiful surprise. Like, what a beautiful surprise to come to a new land and a new space and place where oftentimes you have to step into yourself because it's harder to step outside of yourself. But what I hear you say is that when you saw the doors and windows open by all the different places, whether it's the library, the bank, the school, all the connecting places that you have in your own life, it was like a wonderful opportunity for doors and windows to be open to you to explore yourself and to feel a greater sense of comfort in a new and different kind of place. So what a beautiful surprise. Thank you for sharing that story.
That was a perfect word or expression to define what I experienced during the first year or the first months of my living here in this community.
I could see it when you were telling your story. So it's like that beautiful surprise to see that sign and everything. It's wonderful. Others want to chime in? Go ahead.
I think coming from an organization point of view, it's not just mine. Being in the community and going out there and trying to share our resources, it made us more aware of our community because we were able to meet other groups that are trying to reach out and do things for Piscataway. For example, we didn't know a lot of the firemen, the firefighters in Piscataway. And for the past almost 20 years, they helped us each year with our 9/11 memorial service that we hold at our lodge. They come, they participate, they talk about their what happened with them. River Road Rescue Squad. We partnered with them for different events. So it's really been not just an effort for us to reach out to the community. It's been really an eye-opening experience for us to go to the library and help with the carnival, which that's really for us. We really enjoy that. That's not for the kids. That's for us. And we, it brings, like I said before, like a rewarding experience for us to be able to have the resources available to, help within our community. And we hold community events where we advertise that, hey, come see, see what we're about. To come and tell us how we can help you. Between, I said this the other day, between scholarships, people don't know that we have scholarships, available. Children writing essay contests, to look, for us to learn, what people know within our community. So it really is, a combination of reaching out and learning about our community for us.
That's wonderful. When you started talking was like, not knowing your firefighters in your community. It's like, do you know your neighbor? I think that's a question that we often,
he was a fire chief at one time.
Yeah, we need to ask that. Do you know your neighbor, and how do you go about doing that? So that's a powerful message to get people to think about. If you're living in a community, do you know your neighbor? In a way that is important. But I hear you going even deeper to establishing alliances and partnerships and making whatever one individual does and one individual group does by building alliance and partnerships, it can be greater. So this idea of building on and not trying to reinvent the wheel, but pulling forces and resources together can also do this. So once you know your neighbor, build an alliance and be encouraging and take what you have to help and support each other in the process.
Right. Not, don't just say hi to your neighbor on the bad weather days, when there's a storm, a snowstorm, the hurricanes, and you go out and you kind of, hey, how are you? How are you doing? There's more to it. Get, like you're saying, getting to know your neighbor.
It's That's wonderful. So Unique, come on, bring us home.
Yeah, so I feel like Piscataway is like welcoming in so many different ways. And like, I know everyone here has connections to the library, but I myself tend to be very introverted. So being on a panel like this is not something that I would usually do. So you can see just how welcoming it is that I'm in a space like this. But other than that, I think Piscataway like tends to value diversity in a way that is very unique. And I feel like there's so many things going on in the world, but here we have like a space to come together, and there's so much volunteering, there's so much outreach, there's so many programs and people just coming together, meeting everyone. Like I've seen Moji before at the library, like we're in the ESL class. I've seen Charlene in the writers workshops. Like I've like seen these people, even though like I don't know too many, like, like it's not just like, oh, you see that person once in a while, but like knowing their names and like saying hi and like being a familiar face. And I feel like that's something that you don't get everywhere. So that really shows just how welcoming of a community this is.
Thank you for sharing that, because, so often, we are experiencing a global community, right? We're watching what happens all over the world, but to think global but act local is a challenge. So that's a real call to action. You just told everybody in this space to really take action locally and really get on the ground to do things. And the more you engage and interact, and the exposure to one another can also make a difference. So thank you all for these wonderful stories and the great items that you shared and connected to your sense of community, because the community is truly the intersection of our differences, but it also represents the ties that bind us in such a wonderful way. So I want to thank each and every one of you who have been showcased this evening, and all of the contributors to the project, because there are so many more. And I want to emphasize again, please pick up the booklet. It is absolutely beautiful. Make sure you go and see the exhibits throughout the end of this April, and really stay connected to this project. And it is a model for other communities to begin to tell their stories. So thank you so much. And it has been a pleasure to facilitate and moderate this conversation with each and every one of you. Don't stop telling stories. Go in your house and find some other items that you can share and bring forward. So thank you all who are out there. And don't forget, for those of you who are in our chat space and are here in Zoom land with us, tell us, put into the chat space, when was the first time you felt part of and really connected to the Piscataway community? When was that? And because this is something for us all to think about and to really utilize as we move forward. It's been a wonderful journey with you all.
Yep. And we do actually have some comments in the chat that I'll share with you at this point. Nalika Diaz, which is Sioni's very proud father, said that joining the Piscataway Rotary and becoming a member of the Domestic Violence Crisis Intervention Team was something that really drew him into community. Douglas Johnson said that he volunteers at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, which is not Piscataway specific, but it serves the entire state and is a great way to get involved. He also said he picks up litter around town, and that's been a great way for him to connect with the community.
Absolutely. Environmental change and helping people with basic needs of food and ending hunger. Absolutely. Wonderful things, and ending violence. One of the things that happened during this time is when people had to be at home, some people weren't in safe homes, and violence increased, and children were exposed to different ways in which they had to live, where they were different. If they had gone to school, they were safer in some instances, but violence is a part of our community, and helping to end that is so important. That's critical work, and that empowerment for individuals as well is powerful work to engage in. So thank you all for sharing that on the chat space.
Yeah, and Charlene, you got a great reaction to your Be Kind manifesto.
Thank you.
Doug Johnson said that the library is exhibiting kindness. We ended late fees yesterday, and that's just one way that we try to show that we are a kind organization. I believe it's Ria Pednakar said that finding different ways of helping people near and around can be done in so many different ways, and that this program in particular spreads the importance of being humble and kind.
Absolutely.
Ria also went on to say that the first time she came in with her son in June of 2005, she found it very welcoming and felt that our community is amazing, which we love to hear.
Wonderful.
Yeah, these are all wonderful comments, and folks are going to think that we paid you all to say this about the library. But yeah, we are so grateful that we can be a hub for the community and a connector, for organizations and partnerships, and for new Americans and veterans and folks that are raised in the community their entire lives. This project originally, and Elizabeth will remember this, this project originally started a couple of years ago with trying to update our local history room to be more reflective and representative of the community as it is now. So we feel like we've accomplished that thanks to you all sharing your stories and sharing your history and sharing your connection to this community. And those stories don't get told if folks aren't invited to tell them sometimes. So we wanted to make sure to make it a welcome space and give people the opportunity to share where they've been, how they got here, and and what they want to build here as well. And you are representative of that tonight. You've brought your talents and your gifts, engineering and education and charity and the desire to be more and do more. That is how you build community, and you all have demonstrated that by being so generous with your time and with your stories and with your faces here tonight. We know the Zoom fatigue is real, so we really appreciate you sharing in this format, and also most importantly in the beautiful print format, the pictures, and just the literally the manifestation of your kindness and your generosity is the objects that you loaned to the library. So we're truly appreciative of that as well. And we all know that time is very valuable. It's our most precious commodity. And so giving of your time in this way is also much appreciated.
And priceless.
Yes. Kathleen, do we have any more comments in the chat?
We have a couple. Doug Johnston also shared that a friend of Moji and his, who isn't here tonight, but recently commented that she had been missing the library. She hadn't been back during the pandemic and just recently returned. So she said she was very happy to get back to the library to see her friends. A lot of stress with the pandemic and due to the war on Ukraine. So it's always wonderful to hear that we're kind of a safe port in a storm. I do also want to mention that we have an ongoing project to continue to update and diversify our local history holdings. Joy is nodding like perhaps she's going to mention this.
Yes, we have, ironically, it's called Community History, Piscataway Community History. And it is an opportunity for folks to tell us their story of, where they were when a significant event happened and how they felt. So where were you when you learned that Barack Obama became president? Where were you when 9/11 occurred? How did you feel about that? Where were you when events happened here most recently with Ukraine? How did that affect you? And so sort of a riff on, the room where it happened. We're asking you when it happened. And we'd love for everyone who's listening to share that story. We're going to publish it in a print book, and also keep it in our make it available and keep it in our local history room. So please share that story. The link for that is actually on our website, but if you give us a moment, we'll be able to put it in the chat as well. And yeah, we just want to hear, how you felt, and what a sense of how these events affect you, and what they made you feel about being a citizen in Piscataway, a citizen of the world, and things like that. So, thank you. Kate has put it right into the chat. So it's piscatawaylibrary.org/community. We got a theme going. Okay. Unless there's any more folks who want to comment in the chat or share anything, I think we can gratefully say again, thank you to Charlene Almace, Moji Dadras, Sioni Diaz, Marie Clemen, and a special thanks to Elizabeth Williams-Riley for being our facilitator this evening. Thank you to our attendees and to our other participants who created such a wonderful, wonderful representation of our community. Thank you to our director, Heidi Kramer, who sort of steered the ship for this 3-year-long project. And thank you to everyone who's a part of this community. Thank you to Dashika Copeland, who's our outreach specialist. Thank you to Maisie Card. And I feel like this is an Oscar speech that's gotten away from me. Somebody play the music.
Let the music roll.
Let the music. Okay. Everyone will see a follow-up email with the link to the digital exhibit and forms to share your reaction to the exhibit. So I hope you'll share your comments and your thoughts about tonight's program and about the exhibit in general. Thank you again, everyone. Have a very good night and enjoy the rest of your year. Okay. Don't forget to come back,
everyone.
Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.